Senator Martin, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Madam President. Thank you for the opportunity, Madam President, to rise and to say a few things regarding this bill that's before us. And to Senator Winfield, thank you for your hard work regarding this bill. I know it's very challenging for you in particular, having to address and listen to a lot of individuals that are being affected by this bill in one way or another. You know, I represent Bristol, 60,000 people, and the surrounding communities of Plainville, Harwinton, Thomaston, and Plymouth. The crime rate's relatively low, and I think a lot of it has to deal with the cooperation between the police and the communities of each of the respective police departments and their towns that they serve. The results deterred crime as well as solving crimes. What I believe that holds true in all communities that have low crime rates is this connection between the police and those in the community. This bill, if you look at it, covers quite a bit, starting from the first section, the police officer certification and decertification, crowd management policy, implicit bias training for police officers, reports on recruiting on minority police officers, skipping along to civilian review boards. Bristol does have one of those, by the way, and it works very well. Body cameras, which I know Bristol has, as well as dashboard cameras and related grants, etc. This legislation seems to send a message, in my opinion, after reading it and after listening to police officers as well as constituents, that there's a systemic, widespread problem with the police regarding racism and brutality in our state. And it almost assumes, and this was sent to me, and so I'm just reiterating it here, that it assumes that the police are bad. Well, I think most of us realize that is not true. For the most part, policemen are not bad. There's no doubt that some departments do require some type of reform, and there should always be some continuing conversation of improving. Was sent that as well by police officers saying, hey, listen, there's always room for improvement. They mentioned the fact that they are looking for improving their professionalism every day. And there's also no doubt that the police departments are not broken, as some are alleging. As a police officer has stated to me that, hey, listen, we're not as broken as this bill seems to make it appear. So the consequence, I think, in the passage of the bill is going to impact our municipalities and the recruitment of police officers and actually the retention of good police officers. I think that's been spoken here today. I think the committee probably has heard it multiple times, and I believe that it will impact it as well. The common thread in all my discussions has also always been the qualified immunity portion, so I'm not going to belabor it here. But another, I guess, part of what I've been hearing pretty consistently is where's the evidence that there is systemic policing problem throughout the whole state? Or is it just parochial? If I know Bristol, in my district, we have a low crime rate, and I've stated the reasons why I feel that being the case. But does this legislation warrant us to a point where we have to legislate the whole state because of a few bad incidences. And the question is, where is the evidence? Have we actually taken the time to discover the truth entirely? And is the evidence, and can it be, I guess, identified and justified? So the evidence, and being a police officer, those that have spoken to me are writing this and saying, where is that? And I'll just read to you what one wrote here. And he asked, can you point to cases where Connecticut officers have committed misconduct, have not been held accountable, and therefore have committed serious misconduct? Can you identify a case where an officer has escaped liability for serious misconduct because of qualified immunity? Are there cases where an officer has caused harm to citizens because the officer was emotionally disturbed or under the influence of drugs, justifying periodic evaluations and testing of all officers? So, there are many more that are going to talk, but I just want to conclude with these comments from the same writer here. He writes and he says, the persistent attack against police by groups and the media, accepted by politicians, has led to depolicing, where officers are willing to self-initiate, are less willing to self-initiate enforcement of motor vehicle laws and crime deterrence, resulting in unsafe driving and more crimes. He goes on to say, all of this will lead to more victimization and reduced protection of services. I think you've heard that. I've heard it consistently, that we are going to deter the recruitment of young policemen, policewomen to go into this field of service, as well as we're going to have a hard time holding on to those good officers that are currently employed now. I just felt that I needed to say, on behalf of those that have contacted me and shared their concerns regarding a piece of legislation, I think it was important that I come here and at least express what my constituents, the police officers that I represent in my district, I needed to come and share with the circle here. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much, Senator Martin.